Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Quentin Hardy, National Editor, Forbes Media.
Thanks very much. Hey, good news. That thing with the chair and all the levers, that was actually a test to see if you actually were engineers. And since nobody's sitting on the floor now, you passed. Welcome to sunny, sun-kissed California. For those of you watching on a webcast, that was a bitter and ironic comment. Almost as good as Google's calling this atmosphere. It's raining like crazy here today, but we hope it clears up. I'm Quentin Hardy, and I'm the national editor of Forbes. Last December, I wrote a cover story on Google Apps, and I suppose that's why I'm here today. I either had something on the ball or I need a whole lot more educating. For both our sakes, I hope it's the former. There's a great crowd here today. There's over 300 of you here. Lots of corporate leaders, lots of CIOs, lots of grizzled veterans of many turns in technology. But no matter who you are or what you've done before, I seriously think you are at the edge of really one of the great and most interesting periods in all our careers. Cheaper computing and storage plus networking innovations have enabled what's broadly called a cloud of supercomputers that can be accessed over the internet. Where the boxes are hardly matters anymore. What they do and what it means for us and what you can do for your companies is everything now. Of course, we've seen explosions and changes all over because of this, things like online video, much broader e-commerce, rented storage, rented computation, vastly lower business costs for a number of things, changes happening every day. And we've seen changes in the model of selling software often, from purchase and support afterward to a rental model, or even free if you don't mind looking at a few ads now and then. And Google, obviously has done a lot with this. The cloud office productivity tools they'll talk about today, like word processing and spreadsheets and design, ideally promise and deliver that you'll be able to work anywhere. Online, offline, mobile. It's heading towards that. That's the goal everyone wants to find. And Google makes a lot of these, but a lot of other people make a lot of these too. And I think that's great, and I think that's good, and I hope Google supports that too, because we really are at the early days, and the more competition and the more innovation we see at this point, the better for all of us. At first pass, cloud software seems to be all about lower costs. It's cheaper to get. You can get it in quickly. And then it's about enabling more productivity. Ideally, you create a full work environment no matter where you are. And a lot of today's work that Google and others are doing in mobility and browsers is about making that happen better and more accurately. But the thing that really interests me about this is that we don't know the upshot of a lot of what's going on. We still think about online documents and online spreadsheets in the context of moving over the existing stuff we knew from their desktop precursors, which, if you look at them, are based on something we used to use called typewriters. And they haven't moved into their own yet. That's a little bit like when cars were first invented and people called them horseless carriages. They hadn't realized yet it's a car. It's a different item. So we're in a horseless carriage world in some ways. It takes a while for people to think in a new context and move over. But there are a couple things we do know already. For one, the speed of development and the pace of product change is a lot faster in this world. That's certainly true where software is concerned, but also when manufacturing is involved. For another, distinctions of place, like home and office, or distinctions of identity, like consumer or enterprise, business identity, are disappearing faster than ever. With everything accessible from everywhere, of course, everyone wants your attention all the time, and you're moving in and out of different identities all day. It may seem like consumer tech is coming in faster in the office than the other way around, but in many ways, that's just because the organization is slowing down the pace of entry. People are moving around that quickly because they see value in these tools. And of course, low cost and easy collaboration mean there's a lot more experimentation. There's faster prototyping, there's faster distribution of ideas, of images, of thoughts, smaller contributions aggregating into bigger ones. And that's chaotic. And it means there's going to have to be whole new ways of thinking about better documentation, better archiving, better retrieval, better internal search and discovery. Cloud makes things cheaper at the edge, too. Phones, netbooks, pretty low-cost stuff. With a couple of switches, I can access a supercomputer. Effectively, I'm holding a supercomputer in my hand. The only problem seems to be whether I have good connectivity. Ultimately, the gating problem may be the speed of light. I know we're all moving through a very tough economic time. When you think about those kind of things being the drawbacks or the gating factors, you are pretty glad to be alive right now. Now, the cloud is about more than just unimaginable scale in computers to me. It's also about a new scale of participation. Of course, there are things like online collaboration, document sharing, IM. But there's all sorts of interesting ad hoc social collaboration and scale of participation going on elsewhere. Things like image tagging, map making, voice recognition, or a mobile app that tells you where a traffic jam is up ahead because somebody's GPS-enabled phone contributed to an overall view of how traffic is moving. That collective benefit will also be seen inside corporations in the future, and we have yet to see how that plays out. For sure, though, cloud-based apps mean new kinds of working, with a much greater stress inside the company on information access and information sharing and collaboration. It's implicit in the structure of this technology. Well, so what does this new style of work look like? Like a lot of things, the outcome is wrapped up in the design and use of the tools initially, how the initial rules start. Google's own ethos is towards information sharing, moving quickly. By the way, information sharing of a certain kind. My brethren in the press and I can tell you they probably don't share as much as we'd like on certain things. But the way they work with business gives us a clue about how they see this world. And from my experience, Google likes to release quickly and then watch developments. They want to see what you do with the tools, and then they want to build the next version quickly, another rev, another feature add, based on your actions. Release, monitor, adjust is like a mantra around this place. That may just be Google's version of reality, though. This is a work in progress, one largely informed by the world we have come from. There's no blame in that. We're still in that horseless carriage world I was talking about, and we're still trying to understand what kind of a car we're driving here. And I hope that can be a big part of today's event. It's a chance to see the current state of play inside cloud computing from a Google perspective and from other speakers we'll be having, the use of management and online apps, and a better sense of where things might go from here, keeping us on a lookout for how we need to adjust. Over the day, you'll hear from my good friend Jeffrey Moore, Wall Street legend Mary Meeker, who has a great report on mobility, Salesforce.com founder Mark Benioff started a billion-dollar business off of cloud, several Google executives, internet legends, other visionaries, but most important, you're going to hear from your peers. And I hope we get a lot of that. A lot of Q&A, a lot of discussion here and in the breaks. And please don't be shy with your questions or comments. I think that's a great form of learning. I have a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. When you hear the following sound, there is no sound. OK. I guess telepathic. Thank you. That means please return to your seats. Google has put up a bunch of demo stations outside, so during the breaks there'll be things for you to examine and to play with. Be sure to visit those if you can. You'll see microphones around the room. There's one there. I see another one there. Those are for the Q&A during sessions. Please, don't be shy about asking questions. Everybody wants to hear from you.